Good morning, guys. I'm much more excited for this video than for algebra. This is my review for the K-drama Cheese in the Trap, and I absolutely love this picture because until I saw this, I had no idea that she was the cheese in the trap. I always thought it was him. Just go. You can watch this as of right now, as of February 26. You can watch it for free on the Roku TV app. It's in Korean. It is not dubbed, so I used English subtitles and just watched it that way. I also just found out that this is a book, but I can only find it in French and Korean, and I am devastated because I am always reading. I would absolutely love to have the graphic novels of this and be able to read it and get more of this because this show is just amazing. It just really is. So the reason I watched this is because of this lovely, lovely, lovely creation. This is, I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to butcher everything. I'm an English speaker. This is Nam Joo-hyuk. This is, oh my gosh, like, okay, you all know that I'm a Lino girl. This is so close to Lino. He is like male perfection, okay? My obsession started with 2521. That was the second K-drama that I had ever seen. And I fell in love with him. And then I had to go and watch The Bride of Habaek. And it was absolutely amazing. So this is him in this one. He's so young in this. He's so little. He is very much a side character in this show, but I didn't care because it gave me a chance to just stare at him in all of his glory. So I watched it anyway. So these are the main characters in this show. The main two characters are Seol, which is this girl right here, and this guy has an actual name in the show, and I can never remember what it is because she calls him Senior. Now, I have not finished this show. I have finished episode 15 out of 16 because I've come to find that my excitement for the K-dramas and my love for them changes after I watch the final episode. So I'm recording this before I watch the final episode on purpose. So he has a real name. It's like, I don't even know. I can't remember, but I call him Senior. He's Senior, okay? And then this is Seol's bestie, and I couldn't remember her name when I made this slide, so I just put bestie. And he has a real name in the show too, but he is always just my Nam Joo-hyuk. He's just Mr. Hottie. He is life, okay? Then these two are attached to Seol, and these two are attached to Senior. This is Baek In-ho, and this is Baek In-ha. And these are two of probably, I mean, besides these two, these are extremely deep, complicated characters. There could be a whole series just based on these two, and both of these people are extremely talented actors, and they really help shape the show so much. And then I don't even know why these guys are on here because they're really not important. This guy's loser number 1 and he is a predator. This is loser number 2 and he's just a geek. And this is loser number 3 and he's a user. You're going to hear a little bit more about loser number 3 in this. I do not give any spoilers in this. I am not a spoiler girl. It makes me so mad when people spoil things. And I do not go past anything in episode 3 in this because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to go watch this and enjoy this. Okay? So just so you know, I absolutely hated the first episode. Yes, I'm raving about this show and telling you to go watch it, and I hated the first episode. And I'm going to explain why. Now, part of it may have been because I was extremely nauseous when I started this, and part of it may have been I had just finished The Bride of Habaek, and it was absolutely superb. It was just everything that I look for in a show. So, you know, but this is the main reason why I hated this first episode. Now, I had all of these as clips, and I'd already recorded this, and YouTube blocked it for copyright. So I had to go back and kind of do some finagling. Hopefully it won't block it this time. So the whole show starts out, they're at this like restaurant place, and it's just before the start of term, and everybody's getting together to like celebrate and be like, hi, I missed you, yay, you know, school's gonna start. And all of these people are majoring in the same thing, so they're in a lot of the same classes all the time, so they see each other a lot. So this guy right here is Senior, okay, and he just shows up and everybody is fangirling, the boys, the girls, everybody, because he has been gone doing his military service in South Korea. All men before age 28, I believe, have to go to basic training for a year and a half. It's just part of citizenship. And so he's been gone for a year and a half, and he shows up, and all the girls think that he is just the hottest thing ever, and all the guys think that he is the man. So he shows up, and they're like, oh my gosh, come over, sit down, eat with us, la 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 la. So he sits down, and immediately the girls start getting like super clingy with him. Okay. And you can tell that they're just really eager to be like, ooh, notice me, notice me, notice me. Hey, 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 hey. And they're all flirting really hard. So he sits down, and this girl's like, should we order something else? Oh my gosh, everything's so messy. It's so gross. You need food. You need food. You need food. You need food. And he's like, no, I already ate. I don't want anything. Like, and she just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And she orders something. And as if that's not annoying enough, she's not the one that's paying for anything. But she's like, oh no, no, Senior needs new food. Senior, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. Then we get Chicky Poo number 2, and she's like, I'll make you a wrap. I'm going to make you a wrap. I'm going to make you a wrap, Senior. And over here, this is User Boy. And this is actually really funny because she makes him a wrap and she passes it to Senior, and he takes it and eats it. That's pretty funny. Okay, so these two girls are fighting over him. And he's like, no, I'm fine. I already ate. And she's like, no, we should order for you. And she's like getting the menu out. And she's like, look, 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 look. And he's like, he tells her more than once, like, no, I'm good. I don't want any food. And she's like, no, we're ordering food. She doesn't care. She's like, we're doing it, whatever. So then, after they order more food, you can see he's kind of annoyed, okay? She's like, I'm going to pour you a drink. And he's like, no, I can pour myself a drink. And she's like, no, it's okay, I will. And it's kind of, you watch it and you're like, she just really wants his attention. She's not being as annoying as I'm making her out to be. But you can also really tell that he's just like, dude, like he's kind of an introvert. You can pick that up right away. And he's just like, I just came because, everybody's here and now everybody's like making a big fuss over me and I really don't like it. Can we all just stop? So they've got the pitcher and they're kind of back and forth with it. And he's like, no, I'll pour it. And she's like, I'm going to pour it. No, I'll pour it. I'm going to pour it. No, I'm going to pour it. And in the end, she ends up getting the whole pitcher dumped in her lap. And Seol, the main girl, is watching all of this. Okay, she's at a different table and she's been having this conversation with her bestie the whole time. And the bestie's like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. And she's like, Seol's like, whatever, he's not all that. So she sees this happen. And Senior's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, go get cleaned up. So this chick leaves to go get cleaned up. And Seol's watching him. And after she leaves, after Annoying Girl leaves, Seol sees Senior smile. So she decides that it was all intentional. Okay, that he did it on purpose. He wanted to dump the drink on her. And that he had these really dark ulterior motives the whole time. Okay. So he turns and sees that Seol's watching him. So he stares at her and she's kind of like, so he did spill it on purpose. She's thinking this in her head and she kind of like sneers like that and looks away. Okay. This is the basis for the whole show. This is the first thing that you get. This really, really annoyed me because we have nothing else to go on. Okay. And I'm just like, who does she think she is? Like, okay, I'm the type that if everybody is like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, I automatically don't like it because I'm oppositional. Okay. Yes, that's lame, but that's me. Okay. So I can get that part of it, but I'm like, she is just so rude. Like, what is her deal? Leave the guy alone. Just because he's popular doesn't mean you need to be like, oh, he's the devil incarnate. Right. But she is. She's really snotty about it. She's really catty. And it just really annoyed me. And I'm like, why am I watching this show? I don't have patience for women that are like this. I really don't. Okay. So I was like, I don't know if I'm even going to watch this. There's been very little of anything that I like in this. But as always, Nam Joo-hak saved the day. Yummy, yummy, blessed man. Okay. So they go to class. And Seol she oversleeps and she's very late. So her best friend, who's also in this class, is like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? If she walks in late, it's going to affect her grade. It's going to be this really big deal. So this Nam Joo-hak in this series is younger. He's in a lower grade than Seol and her bestie, Bora. Seol and Bora are third years, so like juniors. And he must be either a sophomore or a freshman. And he's what's called a lackey. I don't know what that is, but they keep calling him lackey. So he kind of fetches and carries for Bora. He's like her little manservant type person because he's an underclassman. And so Bora's like, we've got to get her in here. We've got to fix this. Okay. Nam Joo Hak in this series has a crush on Bora, and so he's really eager to please her. And so he's like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this. So he leaves out the back door of the classroom, comes in the front, and he's like, sorry, I'm late, like even though he was already in there. And this is the TA. The actual professor is out sick. And so the TA's like, we're still going to have the test. And everybody's like, oh, and he's like, shut up, you wouldn't act this way if the teacher was here. So Nam Joo Hak comes in the front door, and he comes and he grabs the test, and he's like, TA, I love you. And he grabs the test and he takes off out the door. This is, okay, now if you're like me and you're from American society, this is completely unhinged in South Korea. You do not do this. They are so respectful and so professional all the time. And he comes and takes it and just takes off out the door. So the TA takes off out the door, chasing him. At one point, he actually grabs the TA and shoves him to the ground, which is like, I don't even know. In America, this would be like punching your TA in the face. I don't even know. This is like so out of line. And he does this because he sees Seol coming up the stairs. And so he's getting him away from the stairs so Seol can sneak past here, go in the door, and go in the classroom and not be marked late. Okay? So he shoves him down. He grabs the test again. He takes off. And then he just randomly stops because Seol's in now. He just randomly stops and makes a heart. And he's like, I love you, TA. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Okay. And the TA comes over and he literally starts beating him with the test. This is one thing I've noticed with South Korean society. Apparently, even though they're so respectful and so calm and they have such a strict hierarchy, apparently beating people is a normal part of life. I don't know. If you have authority over them, teachers can beat students, parents can beat kids. I don't know. It's very strange to me because, like, in America, we're really rude to each other, like socially compared to Korea, but it's not okay for a teacher to just like beat a student or for parents to beat their kids because they made a decision they didn't like. Okay. So anyway, he beats him for a while, and then he literally stands him up, grabs him by the ear, and drags him back into the classroom by the ear. Okay, this is a grown man. It blows my mind. I was laughing my head off the whole time I was watching this because the other shows I've seen Nam Joo Hak in, he was a very professional, very serious reporter, and then he was a literal god and was very arrogant and very powerful, and now he's like acting like this. So it was very wonderful. This was a great experience for me. He gets back in the classroom, and this Bora, this best friend right here, had implied that if he helped her that she would give him a kiss. So he sits down and he's like, okay, like, you owe me. And then he leans behind Seol to get his kiss, and she like playfully kind of punches him in the face. She didn't hurt him, but she's an idiot. What a waste. So anyway, I had this wonderful high moment. This is all episode 1. And I'm like, okay, this show's going to be worth it because Nam Joo Hak's going to be a big part of it. And I get to see him like as a completely different character, be all silly and everything. And then Seol starts her crap again. Okay, do you remember this guy? This was loser number 3. This is user boy. Okay. When we're at the restaurant at the very beginning, he's the one that ate the wrap that the one girl made for Senior. Okay. He's paying for everybody. And you find out that he is paying for it all using club money. I don't know what this club is. I don't know if it's like a fraternity or what, but he's not allowed to pull the club money to pay for this food. But he did, and he let everybody think that he was paying for it with his personal money. Seol finds out, doesn't say anything. They all go to school, and somebody has ratted him out. Somebody has told everybody that he was using club money for this. And everybody is mad at him, but they don't talk about it because it's a very respectful society. Like, culture-wise, nobody's going to talk to him about it or confront him about it, but they all kind of have a bad taste in their mouth. Well, Seol being Seol, she decides that it was Senior that ratted him out, that it was Senior that caused all the problems, that it was Senior that was the dirty dog, because somehow it's worse to rat out User Boy than for User Boy to use the club money. Okay, so she freaking goes up to Senior in front of all of these people and accuses him, and she's like, you did this, you're a tool. And Girly Pop, that wants him so bad, comes and like defends him, and she's like, what are you doing? Why are you accusing him in front of everybody? Okay, so once again, she's just back to being a witch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, can you just shut up for 5 seconds? So the next scene after this is Seol goes to get some coffee. Senior walks in, she bows to him, and he completely ignores her. And she goes out and she's kind of like, I can't believe he ignored me. And I'm like, dude, like, you've trashed on him, like, in front of everybody. And he never answered anything. Like, she said all these really mean things to him, and he just stood there and took it, okay? So she goes out in the hallway, and Miss Thing is there. And she's like, have you apologized properly to him yet? Because she accused him in front of everybody, right? And, of course, Seal's, like, all self-righteous and like, whatever, why should I do that? So he comes out, and she's all over him because he's paying attention to Seal now, and he's talking to her. And she's like, oh, come on, we're going to be late for class. You can see she's all clinging to his arm and stuff. And he kind of brushes her off and says, hold on a minute. And he's like, I notice you drink a lot of coffee. That's not very healthy. You should drink something better. And he gives her a smoothie. And Seal, he's like super nice. And Seal, instead of being like, oh, he gave me a smoothie, is so critical and so suspicious. Like, why is he suddenly acting like this? This is in her head. And she's like, oh my gosh, why is he being nice? It's all because he wants to, like, show off in front of her or whatever, right? Oh my gosh. And I'm just like, Seal, like, girl, stop it. There's no reason for you to be such a jerk to him, okay? So at this point, I'm going to tell you, I don't ever read the back covers of books, and I don't read the descriptions of shows more than enough to find out if I actually want to watch the show. So this show, I wasn't going to read it at all, because the whole reason I was watching was Nam Joo Hyuk, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what the show's about. I mean, it could be the stupidest show ever, and I would watch it for him. But my peripheral vision, I caught that the plot of the show is that he's supposed to be a manipulator, okay? And up to this point, there's been absolutely no basis for her to think he's a manipulator. And so another fun little fact about me is that I always root for the underdog. And so I'm like, why in the heck does she think he's a manipulator? Leave him alone. Be nice to him. I'm always on the underdog's side. So that's part of the reason I'm so mad at her, okay? So then things start to get interesting. This is all still episode 1. There's this whole issue with Seal's class schedule getting changed by someone. So the semester ends, they have to register for new classes, or maybe this is still the beginning of the new semester. I don't know. But there's one class that is taught by 2 different teachers. One teacher's really fun, really easy. Everybody wants that class. The other teacher's a hard nose, and it's really hard to pass that class. So everybody literally runs to the computer lab to register, and Seol manages to get the good teacher. She's so happy. She's so relaxed. She shows up to class the first day, and the good teacher's like, you're not on my roll. And he's like, go ahead and stay for today, and then you can go check out with the registration office and see what the issue is. She goes to the registration office, and they're like, no, you dropped this class. So you got put in this other class, into the hard teacher's class. And she's like, I did not drop the class. So she and Nam Joo Hyuk and Bora sneak in they trick the security guard so they can go in and see what happened, who changed the classes. That happens a little bit later. Okay, but what they figure out is that somebody else must have logged in as her and dropped the class and put her in the other class. Okay, so she, of course, accuses Senior because, what else is she going to do? That's just her shtick. Because she went to go check her schedule in the library. He shows up, and ever since the smoothie incident, he's started being really nice to her, and he's constantly asking her to go out and eat with him. And she panics every time and says something stupid and runs away. So she's like, wait, I didn't log out of the computer when I was there because he came and asked me to lunch, and I just ran away. So she's like, he's the one that did it because I was logged into that computer. So he went there and he dropped me in that class, right? And she goes and confronts him because she's a jerk, right? So Senior is supposed to go with them to go to the security office to go watch the video so that she can prove it was him because she's a jerk. So Senior doesn't show up at the office to watch the video with them. Instead, he goes and confronts User Boy. And he basically implies that he knows what User Boy did. Okay? Senior went and watched the video before everybody else did, and he knows that User Boy was in the library after him and that he was in the area of the computers. That's all he knows. So User Boy just confesses everything, and he says he just went to use the computer and somebody hadn't logged out. This is like a flashback to when he was in the library. And he said at that moment he was just so desperate because he's already taken the class from the hard-nosed teacher and he failed it once already. And if he takes it and fails it again, he's just out of the program. He will never graduate. Okay? So he's like, I dropped Seol from the course and was about to register himself for it, but somebody else registered before he could get himself in. So then he starts this big wah, 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 poor me. I'm the one that got hurt in all of this. Please don't tell anybody. I'll be too embarrassed to go to school. Wah, 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 wah. I'll do anything you want me to do. He's a really obnoxious character. And so Senior's like, our school really needs to move around the camera locations. And he's like, I could see you coming and going, but I couldn't tell what you were doing. And at this point, it's playing really ominous music. Up to this point, you've only seen really, really, really good, kind things from Senior. And User Boy's like, were you just playing with me? Because, he totally implied that he knew everything, that he knew that User Boy had done this to Seol. And he's like, of course not. I didn't know either. And he's like, I didn't know that you were going to spill everything to me like this. And at this point, you kind of just stop and it kind of just hits you and you're like, wait. He's really, really smart. And he has the ability to manipulate. He can make people do what he wants to do without blackmail or being a bully or being threatening. He can just get them to do it because he's that smart. And you're like, what if he really did make, the girl dump the drink all over her? What if he really is a bad guy? But then you're also like, but he's doing this to figure out who hurt Seol, because he bought her the drink. This whole show is like this. It's somebody described it on a website as a psychological thriller, not a romance, and I can see why they would say that. Because it just makes you think and just analyze and puzzle and dig in deeper constantly. Because you're just like, what is going on? So then it goes back to these three coming out of the security office, and they realize the camera doesn't show them anything. They can't see who did what. And they don't even know that User Boy went over there after Senior was there. So they're like, yeah, I'm so frustrated. Who could it be? We couldn't find out. So Seol decides she's going to go home, and she runs into Senior on a bridge. And they start talking, and he's like, do you still think it was me? And she's like, why didn't you tell me it wasn't you? Again, being a witch. She's like throwing it back on him like it's your fault. You never defended yourself. You never told me you didn't do it. You just sat there in silence. And he's like, if I told you it wasn't me, would you have even believed me? And in her head, she's like, well, no. And she's like thinking about all these questions she wants answered about him. And she's like, I'm not ready to trust his answers for what they are. She doesn't say this to him. She's just thinking it. So she ends up bowing really low and kind of apologizing because she says, I'm sorry. It seems I was mistaken this time. Witch? Just stop for 5 seconds. And he asks her to go to dinner. He's just nice to her all the time. He never does anything mean to her, ever. And she totally panics. And she goes, I don't eat dinner. And she literally runs away. She's already told him she doesn't eat lunch. And so that was one of the excuses she uses. And so now she's like, I don't eat dinner. So at this point, I go and watch episode 2. And there's very little Nam Joo-hyuk in it. And I'm like, do I even want to watch this show? Because she is just such a witch. She's so mean to him all the time for no reason. She's just awful. So I watched episode 2. And then I was like, should I move on to a different show? Should I keep watching? And I'm like, I'll give it one more episode. And episode 3 came, and Baek In-ho to the rescue. Man, this guy. I can't decide who he reminds me of more. I must say. I decided he must be a mix between Bang Chan and Changbin because, dude, he's yummy. Okay, suddenly this show's worth watching again. His character is amazing. And then, the deeper you get into the show, you find out a wonderful secret.
다 뻥이죠?
진짜 잘 치거든.
Okay, girlies, I have been playing piano for 35 years. Like, playing piano. I cannot explain to you the chops it takes to do that. Like, I could go, like, to college and play piano for 12 hours a day for the rest of my life and never hit that. That's really him. I Googled it. Dude looks like that. He can act like this, and he can play piano like that. Yo! Okay? So anyway, I have to stop there because I don't want to give you any spoilers to the show. You need to go watch it. But this show drove me crazy. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy? You're going through the whole show, and you don't know if you should like Senior, if you should like Back in Ho, if one of them's good, one of them's bad, if they're both good, if they're both bad. You don't know. It just is so stinking good. This show is also set up like Lost, if you've seen Lost. It throws you in the middle of the action, and then it trickles you little tiny bits of backstory, and you start to understand that Seol has reasons to not trust Senior. That she's not just a witch, that she's actually a pretty kind person. She's actually a really kind person with a lot of forgiveness in her. And there's also this whole issue of Back in Ho was studying to be a professional pianist. He was like on the track. He was famous. And somebody broke his hand really bad, like surgery bad. And he blames Senior. He says Senior did it. And Senior says he didn't do it. And you don't find out until like really late in the show what happened there. And then you find out and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you find out even more and you're like, oh my gosh, the show is so good. You need to watch this show. I am absolutely dreading the final episode because I know it can't end well for everyone. American shows have this real tendency for happily ever after, and life is not happily ever after. American shows also have this real tendency for black and white. Somebody's good, somebody's bad. But in real life, happily ever after doesn't exist. And black and white don't exist. People are gray. Everybody has good, everybody has bad. And things do not stay stagnant. They do not stay in the happy mode. That's not how the real world works. And I think that's why I love and hate K-dramas so much. I think that's why they engage me so much, because they're much more realistic than American shows are. They're also so much more innocent. American shows are all about sex and how fast can we get to sex, and it really annoys me. And K-drama is all about the slow burn. There is zero sex in this show. Zero. There might be once or twice they might kind of like joke about innuendo, but it's very light and very funny and not raunchy or gross the way American shows are. It is just beautiful. It really is. It's real romance. It's real relationships. It's not just nastiness. It does swear, but I would say in a single episode, you're never going to get past more than five swears. And most of the swears are from In-ho, and he really likes the B word. It's never anything extreme. It's never anything horrible. I would have no problem with Angie watching this show, like none whatsoever, without editing, without anything like it. I would have no problem with her watching this, and I'm very restrictive with what she watches. You need to see this show. You really do. So do you want more of this kind of stuff, more of this series? Comment or leave a thumbs up, and I'm more than happy to do this. I will also do a review of the final episode when I get the nerve to watch it, if you want me to. And when I've watched everything that Nam Joo-hyuk has been in, I'm definitely starting on Seo Kang-joon.